Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be one of our live shows where we're going to be doing donation-based tarot readings. Do me a favor, if you can see me, click the bell button below. Make sure you subscribe, give me a thumbs up, like the stream, let other people know that we are live on the YouTubes. And we'll give everybody a little bit of time to kind of shuffle in and go through their ads and all that stuff that they have to watch before you get on YouTube. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm excited to be spending Friday night with you. If this is your first time getting a reading with me, super easy. You're going to scan the QR code. That's going to take you to my PayPal where you can make a donation for a reading. I'm doing offers for 1 card for $20 or 3 cards for $40. For a 3-card spread, you can ask whatever you would like. Please make sure you put your question in the memo and any other details that you'd like me to know relating to your tarot spread. How's everybody doing? What's going on, Sonia? Hey, Sam. Davers is here. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Bixie. How's everybody doing? I'm excited to be doing readings. We've already got some people that are already in the queue. As always, I appreciate your guys' patience. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer to get through these readings. So I will be letting you guys know who's on deck. So I'll call like 3 people at a time just to let you know that your reading is coming up. So if you have to step away for whatever reason, or if you're making a donation and you're coming back to this, you can come back to this and you can see it after the fact. And it is the 1st of September. So just want to say a big thank you to all of my YouTube members. Those of you guys who do not know, I have memberships on my channel. So if you guys like my long format content, my horoscopes, all of my reports and stuff, you can support me being a full-time content creator by joining my memberships. There's 3 different levels. Level 3 does allow you to get a reading once a month. It's a super awesome deal. You're going to get a shout out. You're going to support my work, and you're also going to get either 1 tarot or astrology reading per month. You guys can join the memberships now if you'd like to cash in on that and support me monthly. And you can choose between tarot or astrology depending on which weekend we're actually in. And because it's the beginning of the month, I just want to say thank you to everybody. So I have a laundry list of people to give shout outs to. So we've got level 2 and 3 members for, that have joined my membership. So I've got Blunt Hair, What Lika Said, Jessica Solis, Tarot Empire, MV, Deanna, Coco, Claudia, Tay Jack, Hey Honey, Catherine Murray, Enchanted Crossroads, Jen C, Sharon Grant, Susanna Perry, Deb, Tonya, Barbara Smith, Penny, Steve Yantis, Paula, Angela Hayden, Willow, Emma, Susan H, Taliba, Jackie H, Harazed, Nancy Solarito, Jessica Martinez, and Susan Wexler. Thank you guys so much for supporting my work. Some of you guys have been supporting me for like over a year and then some. Some of the members have been supporting me since the very beginning when I had just a small following. And please do make sure you subscribe because we are this close. We are less than 200 subscribers away from hitting my goal of 25K. So help me reach that if you can by subscribing. I would appreciate it. What's up, Morgan, Maria, Katerina? I also cannot wait for Venus Direct, guys. I'm so ready for these transits to kind of wind down. I actually just got done doing my Sunday video for the Sunday Astro Weather. We talk all about the astrology for September, and September is like this little slice of in-between time right before we get into like the wild eclipse season in October. So I'm actually looking forward to things kind of calming down a little bit this month. Also waiting for Mercury and Venus to go direct. I'm a Libra rising, so I am over it, y'all. I've got a bunch of stuff coming out. I've been working really hard during the Venus retrograde, completing a bunch of astrology calendars. So I'm gonna have 2024 astrology calendars coming up. I've got some really exciting new lunar calendars and some other things that I'm gonna be putting out there. And those of you guys who are wondering about the eclipses, or if you're curious about the eclipses, we'll also drop the link here because I'm going to be teaching a live webinar in September. So I believe it's going to be the 17th. I'll be teaching it around gosh, what time is it going to be? I want to say it's going to be 10 p.m., 10 a.m. on the 17th of September, Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll plug the link if you guys want to sign up, but I'm going to do a whole several hour live webinar on the eclipses. Thank you very much. There it is. Morgan, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Is the eclipse lesson video included in the membership or is it separate? No, the webinars are separate, but that's a good idea for future tiers. Well, thank you, Morgan. Appreciate it. Yeah, I like to put that stuff out early. When I did the Venus retrograde webinar, I did that a month early. I'm going to do the same thing with the eclipses because these eclipses are very significant. Both of them are ruled by Venus. So it's kind of like the cherry on top of what's been a pretty kind of bumpy summer transit with this Venus retrograde, and it's still going to kick on the back end. So let's see what happens. So let me give you guys the roll call for who's here. Before I get going, is there anybody who's a level 3 member that wants to cash in on their reading for the month? It is the 1st of September. So those of you guys who are level 3, if you'd like to cash in, you definitely can. But this is who I have in the queue already. So I've got, let's see, Matt, Jill, Roycio, Amico, and looks like David popped in there too. We'll do that one in just a little bit. And if you guys want to get in the queue and get a reading, you can scan the QR code right here and you can make your donation for reading. Just let me know so that way I don't miss you. And we'll let you guys know when we're going to close the window. So we're going to start first with Matt, and then we will take Jill. Jill, I didn't get your question. Are you here live? And Roycio, you too. Can I get your question? And then Amico. Morgan says, your laugh is contagious. What is your sun sign? I have Sun, Mercury, Pluto conjunct in Scorpio. I'm a Libra rising. And my laugh is contagious because I have Jupiter trine. Jupiter trine Mercury. Thank you, Fiorella. Appreciate it. I'll get you. We're not doing natal charts this week. We're going to be doing chart readings next Friday. And it's a donation of $20 for 1 card, $40 for 3 cards. All right, so let's see what's going on with Matt. Matt says, the woman I've been getting readings about, Lizzie, told me that she doesn't see things going anywhere. We have been talking for about 3 months. Why did she decide to end things? She is a Cancer Sun and Mercury and Venus, Aquarius Moon, Libra rising. So one thing I would say, just food for thought, right? Being an Aries rising yourself, the Venus retrograde could have very well been about a back and forth situation with a lover. It was in your 5th house. But she's a Libra rising, so Venus rules her chart, and the Venus retrograde, is really affecting her goals and relationships. And then she's also got, eclipses going on in the 7th house, which does sometimes bring up challenges revolving around relationships. Mars is also in her sign, but let's see what's going on. What happened with Lizzie, and what do we need to know in terms of why she decided to end things? In this order, we've got the Chariot, the 6 of Swords, followed by the Queen of Pentacles. Kind of interesting. I mean, the Chariot card does talk about a situation rapidly approaching. It can be talking about situations revolving around her direction and her goals. More specifically, the Chariot is a card that deals with Cancer. So I think about maybe the eclipses and like the connection to the moon, and that can be bringing some kind of like forward motion in relationships, and also on her part as well in terms of her goals and where she's going. This can also deal with like locational themes. So sometimes when the Chariot comes up, it can be somebody who's like, I'm moving, or I'm thinking about relocating, or I'm moving on, or I'm realizing that, the direction of where I want to go, that speed or that momentum is picking up. The Chariot card is not always a positive card, and that's something I don't really hear a lot of like other tarot readers talk about. You know, this can be talking about something kind of chaotic, because remember, you've got two horses, or in this case, two sphinxes. One's going at a different pace to the other one, so it can be feeling like the card itself is kind of wobbly, or that the wheels are going to fall off, and it could potentially be harder getting to your location or your destination. So when I think about the Chariot coming up in the past position, it makes me kind of wonder, like, were things progressing pretty quickly? Was it a situation where she was, you know, kind of really forward about the direction of where things are going and what she's looking for? Was she looking to potentially be, you know, moving along her life in a sense of developing a long-term relationship, quickly moving in the direction of living with someone? Is she looking for like serious, like long-term commitment? Is that partially why she's keeping things moving? Not necessarily because there wasn't a connection, but she may be really adamant about her goal and getting to where it is that she wants to go. And so that can be creating a situation where she feels like, okay, we're on two different wavelengths. There's what I'm looking for, and then there's what you're looking for. And like, this doesn't seem like it's kind of like, you know, evening out. The second card that comes up is the Six of Swords, which is also a card that deals with movement. So I'm wondering, like, what's the deal? Like, did things move very quickly, and then did you feel like she pulled back? Did she tell you that she's, you know, looking, you know, to meet somebody or develop a relationship? And is she changing directions because possibly she's contemplating a relocation or moving? This is the card that talks about being in limbo. So, you know, Six of Swords is about getting in your boat and going on to calmer waters, or going into another situation, or kind of being in between. Not necessarily a card that suggests that she's like, oh, I'm looking, you know, I'm establishing a relationship with someone else. That's not really what this looks like. It looks like she's kind of looking at it going like, okay, this wasn't necessarily a match, or we're not on the same wavelength in terms of what we're hoping to achieve in this relationship. And her being like, you know, I'm making my way. It is peaceful. You know, the Six of Swords is kind of like saying it was nice getting to know you, but, you know, I'm taking the steps that I need to forward to see what else is out there, to explore what else is out there. I wonder if this is also about her, you know, trying to do it before it became something that was more involved, right? For me, like, the Chariot talks about speed. It also talks about accuracy. The need to be able to kind of take care of a situation right now, rather than being in a situation where she's spending 6, 7, 8 months in a relationship only to realize, okay, this isn't working, and stay too long. So this can be a card that talks about her kind of being like half in, half out to begin with, or that she was just testing the waters and seeing if this was potentially a connection before realizing it's not. And then being like, okay, on to the next thing. I do feel like this does mean that she may also kind of be in limbo, in a sense of being like, she's not immediately jumping to the next person. She's just open to seeing what else the future might hold in terms of dating in her love life. She may have realized, like, you know what, the direction of where my life is going right now in dating, it's not meshing up. It might require her to actually take a step back and be more focused on her overall destination and what actual changes she needs to make in the right now to make her better prepared, or more so open for a relationship in the future. So when I say like the Six of Swords come up, sometimes it's like going back to the drawing board type of card, where, you know, it's a lot of reevaluating. Do I want to be in a relationship? Do I want to spend time with another person? Do I see myself settling down? So she can be asking herself a lot of questions and reflecting before getting back into the dating game. And then finally, the Queen of Pentacles coming up. So this can be referencing, obviously, generally this is the element of Earth, but, you know, I think you told me she's a Cancer sun. So Queen of Pentacles can be talking about, you know, advice maybe that she got from an older woman. It can be about somebody saying to her, like, you know, keep it moving. You're getting older. Don't stay in situations for too long. If you don't see like a potential match in the long term, you know, really focus on your long-term goals and like valuing yourself, and like really know what it is that you need, or know your worth. I also could see this as the Queen of Pentacles kind of reflecting her being like, you know what, I'm working really hard on myself, and there is a sense of me really needing to continue to work on myself and finding somebody who may potentially have the same value system that I have. So she could be looking at, you know, okay, I'm really focusing a lot on developing my career, strengthening my finances, really stabilizing my life. And she can be critical, right? Queen of Coins, about other potential partners and whether or not they're kind of measuring up. But I feel like intuitively this could be about the fact that she's more so acutely aware of her age, and she's also aware of the fact that maybe perhaps she's not so willing to spend as much time as she has in the past in situations that she knew may not have been going in the direction she wanted. Maybe she's learned from those lessons, and it's easier now for her to kind of be honest with herself and with other people and say, you know, I'm going to kind of explore and see what else is out there. The positive in this spread is like there's no ill will, there's no real infidelity, there's nothing like that coming up. It's just more kind of her growing up and realizing like, hey, you know, I need to kind of keep things moving if I'm really focusing on my end result. Where the Chariot can be referencing, you know, Cancer and the emotional nature and the security nature and the reactions that we have emotionally, the Queen of Pentacles represents like stability and resources and productivity and physical security. So maybe she's realizing that it can't all be about just emotional connection. There also needs to be a sense of like really voicing and communicating with this other person, or making sure that she's partnering with another person who also has the same goals as her. And so this is a lot of like not just making decisions with her heart anymore, also kind of making decisions partially with her head, or in a much more practical sense, and moving forward because she feels like you guys may not be on the same kind of wavelength. And I do feel like that's what's going on here. And this is not a dig at you. It's just her kind of being like, she's really focusing on the physicality of situations. The confirmation card that I get for that Queen of Pentacles is the Tower. So I also feel like she may be going through a process of completely reworking everything that she thought she knew about relationships, or that she thought she wanted when it comes to committed relationships as well. Six of Swords can also kind of indicate, you know, 6 weeks-ish. There can be an opportunity to communicate, you know, better. Yeah, I could see where there could be some hurt feelings, because you see in the card that somebody's getting in the boat and they're kind of heading away and they have their back turned to you. So you can feel like the way that she's handling the situation is kind of cold or detached or not very emotionally involved, especially with that Queen of Pentacles coming up. And I would say that, you know, the South Node eclipse is happening in your 7th house, right? You're going to have a solar eclipse there pretty soon, which can be the kind of the foreshadowing of potentially a new relationship seed that's being planted that can be taking place for, you know, about 6 months time, from mid-October until spring of next year. As that North Node is going through your 1st house, it's really focusing on you and what you can control. The South Node in the 7th is letting go of people who may be indecisive, or people who don't really kind of hang around or bring you the benefit of partnership. So you're going to want to watch when there's some significant transits to your natal Venus, which from what I remember, I think you have like Venus, Pluto, and Sag. So, or some Venus, Jupiter, some aspect that you have in Sagittarius. Look at the Mercury retrograde, maybe, I would say, in December. That could potentially bring some kind of like, you know, resolution or clarity about relationships, or it could bring somebody else in. Equally, sometimes we have with solar eclipses involving the South Node in the 7th, karmic relationships that come in. And so there can be a sense of like one person kind of punching out and another person's getting ready to punch in. And that's pretty common when you see those eclipses in the 1st and in the 7th houses. And so the more that you're focused on your direction, your drive, right, North Node in the 1st, the easier and the more smooth I think relationships can kind of go as you get into like the next 6-7 months of the year. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Sending you lots of healing vibes, so you're not hanging out in the Broken Hearts Club, okay? I've got Jill. Is Jill here? Thanks, Moon. I got you. Hey, Carol. I'm happy to answer a question for you if you want to donate. Is Jill here? Jill and Roycio. Let me know so I can know what to ask the deck for you guys. All right, so let's take, if I don't see Jill, I'll give you a general reading. We've got Jill, Roycio, and then Amico. No worries, Morgan. All right, so this is going to be for Jill. Ooh. Jill, the card that I get for you is the Judgment card, which is really interesting. This is kind of like that turning point where there is a complete reevaluation and almost like a process of decisive decisions that are being made at this moment. It's a tongue-tied, sorry. But Judgment card is basically like, okay, reviewing everything that's taken place. It's a major arcana card. This card comes up basically when there's major energies at play, which are about, making decisive decisions, committing to things. This can be about announcements or getting ready to let people know that there's about to be a big change in your life. This can also be a card that comes up like right when you're getting ready to close out a cycle because it's getting to the end of the major arcana. Judgment card for me feels like this is like a reckoning card, not like the Tower, but more kind of like, okay, you know, I've reevaluated everything that's going on in a certain area of my life, and like now I'm making a decision, and this decision is definitive. There is no going back. There is no changing my mind, and like like allowing yourself to not just come to terms with it, but tell other people about these major changes and about these major completions taking place in your life. Traditionally, this is like seen as, you know, kind of connected to like the book of Revelations where you see everybody returns, right? So this is like the Savior returning. And you've got Gabriel coming in with the horn and letting everybody know, like, rejoice, there is some opportunity for revival or for returning to source or for some big, you know, conclusion or completion. So there can be major announcements basically going on in your life over these next few days and weeks. The confirmation card that I get for you at the bottom of the deck is the Four of Coins. So I feel like this is about letting people know what you're giving up or what you're no longer holding on to or what you're no longer worried about. It can be also about you opening up and recognizing and realizing that maybe some of the things that you're holding on to physically, emotionally, physically, in a sense of weight, in a sense of, you know, burdens and heavy emotions, that you're just like ready to let it go and you're ready to maybe get something off your chest. That can be another way that I could look at this card coming up for you. I wonder though, if this is about you getting ready to make a big decision about your resources. And whether or not you're ready to part with something or whether or not you're ready to, you know, make a big decision about an investment or to let somebody know a decision that you've made about a joint, you know, resource or a joint bank account. It can mean that you're waiting on an actual judgment. Sometimes this card comes up where you're waiting to find out, okay, am I going to win the court case? Am I going to end up getting approved for the loan? Am I going to have somebody who is going to back my business? So it looks like you're holding on maybe to something that, you know, you're about to make a decision and let other people know that, you know, you're finally, you know, you have an answer and you can kind of tell people the direction of where you're going with this. Unlike the Justice card, this is more definitive. So it basically means whatever decision is made in regards to the situation, this is going to stick. There's no going back on it. It's like whatever happens, happens. And this can also be about the repercussions in a way of some of the things that have been taking place in recent months and like now all of a sudden it's coming to fruition. So if you've been working hard when it comes to your resources and protecting your savings or investing money or saving money, right, then it looks like you're going to hold on to it. If you have been waiting on finding out whether or not you're going to maintain a job or maintain, you know, a position financially, it looks like you're going to continue to hold on to it. But the key here is that Judgment is saying, like, let the chips fall where they may. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and accepting that. The Four of Coins is saying don't hold on too tightly to the past. Be open to what the future holds and know that you're making definitive decisions moving forward that are going to very much be impacting your you know, physical experiences, your health, or your finances. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful and you're able to kind of pop in here and see that. Thank you, Shishuvita. I got you. I will add you to my queue. I appreciate it. I know some of you guys are still popping in, so if you want to get a reading, you can scan the QR code up here and you can get in the queue. We'll leave it open for a little bit longer. We've got Roycio. Are you here? What's up, Anne? Hey, Carol. We're not doing astrology, but we will be doing astrology back here next week on Friday. Is Roycio here? Let me know. Let's see if Roycio pops in. Otherwise, we'll do a general 3-card reading for you. Oh, is that you, Carol? I'm not sure because it's a different name. So let's see. Thanks, Carissa. Carol, are you Carolina? If you are, I will get you in just a second. All right, this is going to be for Roycio. We've got a 3-card spread. 2, 3. Okay, in this order, wow, these are some lovely cards. I've got the Strength card, the 2 of Wands, and the Empress. I love this for you. Can we talk about just how much happiness and joy and creativity is like blossoming within these cards? You got 2 majors on the table. So in the past position, we have Strength. In the future position, we have the Empress. Strength in the previous position is talking about building on situations where you've had to really find strength within yourself. It can be talking about working on your strengths, your creative strengths, your strengths when it comes to relationships with younger people, lovers. This is about overcoming past challenges and being able to find the strength within yourself, learning to really tap into that. And this is a card that is very much tied to Leo season. It's very much tied to transits in Leo. So I'm wondering throughout the Venus retrograde if this has been about you having to kind of dig deep and find that inner strength. Strength is a great card because it talks about allowing the right things to come to you and not having to force something, right? So you see the lion that's in the embrace of the maiden, and she doesn't have him on a leash, she doesn't have him in a cage. She's welcoming him with open arms and embracing him. So this is about basically saying, letting love and the right things come to you, letting creativity come to you, letting partnerships coming to you. It's about holding that space and allowing love to grow. Then we have the 2 of Wands. So it tells me that not only have you been in the process of doing that, but now you're like waiting for these situations to actually bring the new goodies in. This is waiting for your ships to come in. 2 of Wands represents a choice or a decision of where you're going to be moving forward. So this can be as simple as, do I want to choose, this relationship or that relationship, this pastime or that pastime? Do I want to take this job or that job? And Wands are always about creativity. So it's about being able to kind of build on the fact that maybe the last few weeks you've been focusing more on nurturing your talents, nurturing your personal strengths, and really being open to where that may take you, right? Especially because the 2 of Wands does represent taking the initial first steps forward to what ultimately could be a new adventure. So whether that's planning a trip, going back to school, maybe going on a new endeavor when it comes to your creative, business type things. And then the final card being the Empress is really interesting because this is about what you actually create, what you nurture, what you give life to. So this can be about creative births. This can also be about motherhood or being with mothers, taking care of a female figure or being somebody who's like feeling like a maternal energy yourself or a protector. It's interesting because this is more about like mothers and this is kind of more about children. The Strength card can be about protecting and strengthening things. So I'm wondering, are you focusing on doing a lot of work with the inner child, right? Are you protecting your heart space and saying to yourself, I have to let love in order to do that. I have to be more protective of my energy, of my feelings, my own happiness, and really treating yourself better and almost like, yeah, creating a safe, protective space for you. So that way you feel like new creative projects or hobbies or relationships can then grow. So, that Empress being in the final position is interesting because that is a card that deals with Venus, and it deals with resources and values and abundance and pleasure. So I wonder if you've just been trying to create more time in your schedule or trying to arrange your life in a way where you're creating more playtime or more time for hanging out with younger people or hanging out doing hobbies or, with a romantic partner or dating, and trying to like bring more love and pleasure into your life. And a lot of that also is going to be about how you want to be treated, and maybe treating yourself the way that you want to be treated, and really realizing that you have to create that within yourself. Then you start to see that it's almost like new energies start entering your life, new relationships, new friends, new opportunities that you are bringing to you, right? The Empress, because you have initiated some of this abundance, or you've initiated some of this energy that's kind of turning over. Very strong cards. The yellow is very much connected to, happiness, joy, creativity, fulfillment, excitement. Like it's a lot of solar energy. It's a lot about warmth and life. So I'm wondering what new things you've been like working on or kind of bringing into your orbit, and how it's actually bringing more love or abundance to you. Because it looks like that's basically what's taking place. These might be cards that you might want to kind of make a note of or meditate with, or maybe put somewhere potentially like on like a desktop or like on a phone background. Because I think this can be kind of keeping that mojo going of being like, keep having playtime, just enjoy yourself. And when you enjoy yourself, when you're in that act of play or really loving something, that's when you're going to start to see that, things are going to kind of flow there, right? Where intention goes, energy flows. So your intention is to be creating space and time for all of the things that you love. And that's going to kind of turn that light switch on to let other people know you're open for business and that you're welcoming them into your life. So then you can kind of have this with other people, because this can be a very romantic card as well. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me know, keep me updated. I know we've got a couple of you guys that have joined in the super chat. I appreciate it. I will take care of you, don't worry. So we've got Amico, followed by Fiorella. Am I saying that correctly? Fiorella? I saw that you added on there. Thank you. Carolina and Stacy. And then I've got a couple people in the super chat. All right, so let's see what Amico says. Amico says, I want to follow up on a tarot reading you did 2 months ago. We pulled the 8 of Wands, 5 of Swords, 9 of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands as confirmation. Aloha. With the Maui fires, I'm out of a job. I filed for unemployment, but those funds haven't come in since I have to file with California as well. I'm not worried financially because I know Spirit has something in store for me, as I meant to stay in Maui, but I just don't know what to do next. Last time you said I might get commissioned for artwork in Leo season, but that already passed and I haven't made any work. Any info is appreciated. Sun in Aries, Pisces rising, and Taurus moon. All right, let's take a look. Thank you, Melissa. All right, so what do we need to know about Amico's job situation? What might be shaping up in regards to their funds? And what does Spirit want them to know about this period of kind of being in transition? All right, Amico, this is for you in this order. Knight of Wands, the Chariot, King of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles. We've got two knights here, all right? So stuff is definitely in motion. There are some things that are rapidly going to be shifting. Knights always represent people who can come in. It can also be messages. It can be situations that are changing very rapidly. The first card that we have in the past position is the Knight of Pentacles. So it can mean that you were taking slow steps forward in regards to building resources, having work. You were taking the necessary steps, but it was more kind of cautious and practical, or maybe you felt like things were moving slow. Notice how many horses are here. Okay, so this can be talking about travel. This can be talking about like relocations. This can also be talking about potentially going somewhere for a period of time or working in a different area and staying there temporarily and then coming back. So I wonder if that's something that might pop up for you as well. The Knight of Pentacles can be word that's coming about a financial situation. It can be some kind of news about some financial support. Of all of the knights, this is the one that is definitely the most reliable. So generally, if you get wind that's like, hey, we're going to get you the funds necessary, or we're going to help you with relocation, or we're going to bring something, like it will come because this is a reliable card. It's just slow. Look for support that may come from Tauruses, Virgos, or Capricorns, okay? I know you're a Taurus moon. I think about being a Pisces rising and the fact that you're having a retrograde in your 7th and you're probably agitated because you're like, people aren't getting back to me. Why is it taking so long? Why are they not returning phone calls? You know, did they get my email? And so it kind of feels like you're trying to herd cats when it comes to like talking to people and having meetings with people right now. The good news is that the Chariot card in the center position is saying like a change is coming very rapidly. Once again, this is a card that seems like it's probably going to be the card of the evening. So this is about things ramping up. In the current position, it's about being like changes on the horizon. You're getting ready to go somewhere. It can be an indication of actually traveling and like listening to your intuition and letting your intuition be your guide for ultimately where it is that you decide to go and look for a job, apply, where you potentially relocate to. This can also be about support coming in and being on the way. The way that I look at this card is that it is kind of indicating that there could very well be a change in your living environment, because this is right now. This is also talking about your mood. It could potentially be that you're hearing from family, or there's people saying to you like, come home, you know, come and be here. You don't need to be there, or people giving you or offering you a place potentially to go and stay for a period of time. And it might be very sudden that this, you know, offer kind of comes about. If you're somebody who really follows like astrology, I'd be looking at transits that are happening with your moon, knowing that you're a Taurus moon. You know, you're getting ready to have a lunar eclipse at the end of October. I know that's still 2 months away, but that lunar eclipse is going to be in your 3rd house, which is about movement. And it's also going to be somewhere in proximity to your moon. So it's pretty safe to say part of what's probably coming is that you're going to get an opportunity to either relocate or maybe take a job at another place or travel. This is confirming that. So I would be really paying attention to those transits. Then we've got the Knight of Wands coming up, which is also an action-based card. Definitely a lot faster moving than the Knight of Pentacles. This can be talking about dealing with swift moves, decisions, opportunities to take jobs, things that might be more adventurous, things that might require you to perform or be a little bit more action oriented. I also think that this can be talking about like changes going on with transportation. Generally, when I see like a knight and the Chariot card coming up together, I always ask somebody like, are you questioning whether or not, you know, you want to get a job in travel or transportation or fitness? Are you thinking about maybe buying a car or selling a car or making a change in terms of how you get around? Are you potentially moving to a place that would require you to get these things or give these things up? Because they seem to be kind of like tied together. I feel like a move in November, but still on the island or maybe another island. Yeah, but I would say like, if you get offered assistance in relocating to another place, you may consider taking it. Equally, if you get offered a job that might be in another island, you may consider taking it and it might prompt a relocation. I feel like the Knight of Wands coming up as the final card is really positive for you, because it's basically saying like, wherever you're intending to kind of shift this energy, you can rapidly make change very quickly and give yourself the opportunity to pick up and go, but it may be very sudden. And to me, it seems like there is some opportunity for you to possibly do something in either transportation or entertainment. May not sound like the most glamorous thing, but like the Knight of Wands generally likes to be someone who's kind of like showy or very physically active. And that being in the final position makes me feel like you might find a job that's like basically like you could start right away and you'd be like, oh my God, how am I going to get there? You know, and it can come with the help of other fire signs. So Aries, Leos, and Sagittariuses can pop up here as well. I think to some extent, you know, because you're going to be having a retrograde also in your 10th house at the end of this year, there is like a little bit of like feeling like you're playing the work situation, kind of like you're not in limbo, but like you're flexible. You can go back and forth and do more than one thing, and you might find that you're going back to one position later in the year and you're doing something kind of temporarily. If a job opportunity gives you the ability to be able to kind of relocate, or if some support comes in and it gives you the opportunity to finally get transportation or get wheels, I would recommend taking it, because it looks like your ability to be a little bit more like mobile is actually going to increase the odds of you being able to get settled in a financial situation. Equally, there could be two people who come in, or two opportunities that come in. Likely, this is, I think, talking more about the financial support that's going to come that would give you the opportunities that you need to be able to kind of get settled and pay the bills where you're living. But I still see like a restlessness with the Knight of Wands coming up, and it does make me feel like you're going to look at this and go, okay, that's going to be taken care of. What else am I doing to stay busy? You know, what else am I creating? So this could also be about a creative kind of urge that kind of comes up for you very suddenly, and you're feeling like you want to kind of get the show on the road and start doing a little bit more creative stuff. And you may be feeling inspired to do that as well. And then the confirmation card that I got for you on that is the Knight of Cups. So it's saying it's about going after what you want, and finding that there are things where, or times where inspiration is going to strike and you're going to be like, this is what I'm going to do. And if you listen to that, it may actually be something that really pays off and helps you feel more fulfilled when it comes to seeing some of the changes that you're hoping to kind of create right now. Okay. Def have a creative urge and you feel blocked. Well, my advice is get moving. That Knight of Wands is going to be about moving that energy around and being given the opportunity to kind of have an outlet for it. So it could be about being physically active as well as being creative. Hopefully that's helpful for you, sending you lots of good vibes in the midst of that transition. I appreciate it, your support. We're gonna leave this open for maybe another 5 minutes. You guys can get in for another 5 minutes. All right, so I have Fiorella. Am I saying that correct? You're welcome, Amico. Good luck. Added an extra question in here. Let's see. You get a 3-card reading. I've been single for 6 years. I'm a Libra sun and Libra rising with a Virgo moon. Can you tell me what my future husband will be like? What else? Can I ask you where your Mars is? Where is your Mars? Because that's also going to tell you a lot about your relationships. Okay, cool. What degree is your ascendant and what sign and house is your Mars? And I will give you even more feedback. Let's take a look. I'm a Libra rising too. Libra rising twins. All right, so let's see. So she wants to know all about future husband. Ooh, this one. Okay, in this order. Page of Pentacles, 6 of Swords, and the Queen of Cups. And this is covered with your confirmation card, the Lovers. Okay, so let's see. So you said you were a Libra rising, I think Libra sun. Okay, Virgo moon. Okay, cool. So that's nice with the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so a couple things about future partners, all right? So Page of Pentacles coming up makes me feel like this could be somebody that you could meet through some kind of physical or financial encounter. So when I think of like the pages, it might be when you're like learning more about money or resources. It could be connection to a bank. It could be connection to somebody who walks up and starts talking to you and they approach you and they offer you something. Okay, there we go. So you're 12 degrees rising, and where's your Mars? What sign is your Mars in? And then 12 degrees is going to be a degree that's going to deal with like a Pisces degree. So it could be that you meet them somewhere at night, or you meet them by the beach or by the ocean. You could have a dream about them before you meet them. So it's going to have some kind of Neptunian flavor. Sometimes the 12 degrees can relate to somebody who's a foreigner or somebody who's like culturally different than you, because that could be Pisces, or you meet them in like a mysterious way. But Page of Pentacles makes me feel like they're going to have also some kind of earthly element to them. So they could have some Virgo, which would be good if you're a Virgo moon, some Taurus, or some Capricorn in their astrology as well. Generally, what I do, and this has been very accurate for me, and I've seen this for a lot of my clients, I take the descendant degree, and then I also take the ruler of that house. So in your case, it would be Mars. And then I look at where is Mars placed, what house, and what's the degree. So for example, right? So you have 12 degrees on your descendant. So they could have some Pisces in their sun, moon, or rising. You're a Libra rising, so your 7th house of relationships is ruled by Mars. Mars is placed in Cancer, so that means that Mars is going to be in your 10th house, okay? Which is career. Interesting. Page of Pentacles deals with work, career, money, or resources. So in theory, you could meet somebody at work, right? You could meet them. They could be a boss. They could be a superior. They could be a cop. Sometimes when you have Mars in the 10th house, they could be in the military, right? Because uniforms is 10th house. Anyway, Mars is debilitated in Cancer, which means it's a sensitive place to have Mars. And you have transit Pluto right now in opposition to your Mars. So there's something that needs to change either emotionally or with your home base before you connect to your husband, which is interesting because the second card that you have here is the Six of Swords. So it does talk about the potential for moves, relocation, transitions, transportation, a back and forth of sorts. So I'm wondering, are you in a situation where you're moving? Did you just move? Was there a huge change in your home or with your family? Maybe you're going to end up meeting somebody right after they move. It might also be somebody who is like in transition right now, or like you're getting ready to maybe meet them soon. Knowing that you're having eclipses in your 7th house, for right now being a Libra rising, all the planets going through your 1st house is going to be more about you and the actions that you're taking. So it would be you approaching people, connecting with people. You're going to see more like relationship stuff. I think that will shape up more for you about February through like June of 2024. When you see planets go through Aquarius in your 5th house, which is about dating, when you see eclipses in your 7th house in March and April, which is about relationships, February through June, there's going to be stuff that's definitely going to kind of heat up. But to me, it looks like there's a little bit of transition. Could it mean because, the Queen of Cups is coming up with the Page of Pentacles that there is a combination between water and earth? Interesting that you have your Mars in a water sign. It's in the 10th house, which is an earthly house. So it's possible that there could be a combination between earth and water that they have in their big three, their sun, moon, and rising. But the Queen of Cups can also be talking about being very spiritually connected to this person. It can talk about the potential or the possibility of there, being an age difference. So it could be because the Queen is a little bit older than the Page, that there could be a younger person who's coming into your life, or maybe that you feel more protecting and nurturing of them. It can also be talking about, being really open and sensitive and vulnerable when it comes to connecting with someone, which is interesting because, being a Libra rising, generally Aries in your 7th house, you bring people in that can be kind of like combative. But quite the contrary, I think, in your case, because you have Mars in a water sign in the 10th house. So you may bring somebody in who takes action, Mars revolving around nurturing and caretaking, right? Queen of Cups. So it may be a partner who comes in who will kind of like mothers you in a way, or they're like, did you eat anything? You know, how are you feeling? You know, can I give you a hug? Like they can nurture you in a very kind of like parental kind of way. And then the confirmation card that I got for you is the Lovers card. So it does talk about like divine union, connection, like if there's any doubt or questions revolving around relationships. The truth is like you have your Mars at a critical degree. So it does tell me that there is something karmic revolving around finding a partner. 10th house means that you don't find them until you're a little bit older, or it may come sometime after 30 before you really align in a relationship. And I think the key here is to be looking at the times when you're having eclipses taking place in your 1st and 7th house, because that likely will bring somebody in. Libra risings right now that are single have a really good opportunity to be able to meet people. I definitely feel like it's going to get stronger when Mars is in Capricorn, so that's not going to be until like the new year. And then again, when Mars and goes into Aries and we have eclipses in the spring. In particular, you know, this can be saying about 6 months, right? 6 of Swords can be literally 6 months and be looking to like right around the beginning of 2024. And the Lovers card can talk about this divine union or romantic love, somebody who is like your other half. I'm not crazy about the term soulmate, but you'll hear some astrologers and tarot readers refer to the Lovers card as such. But this is also a card that deals specifically with Gemini season. So I'm wondering if this is something that's really taking until about May, June of 2024 to fully develop. My advice is be open, you know, especially if it comes to people of different ages. Really look at what's working and not working in your home base right now. You know, you've got Pluto opposing Mars, so you're either moving or there's changes going on emotionally or in your home, and you're going to meet somebody who's going through some similar things. So you might notice right on the back of one of you guys making a huge emotional or home change may actually lead to meeting someone. Watch over the Mars transit when you have your Mars return. That's going to be taking place like next year, and when you have transits that are going to be coming into conjunction with Pluto in opposition to your Mars, those home changes might actually be taking place right at the end of 2023, prompting the opportunity for that person to come in closer to next spring. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We got last call in 2 minutes. Morgan, let me take a look here. I will check for you. And I will give everybody a roll call. Good night, Anne. We'll see you soon. All right. So, yes, Morgan, I got you. Don't worry. I got you. So we've got Carolina, Stacy, Morgan, Aralina. All right, cool. So I want to make sure we got everybody. And let's see. Looks like I got you twice. I got you twice, Morgan. So let me know if you want that 3-4 card spread. All right, so Carolina, Moon, what's your first name? I'm not sure. Oh, wait, let's see. Because your guys' name sometimes differs on your PayPal versus your YouTube name. So what is your PayPal name, Moon? Last call for readings, guys. Last call. Pamela. Okay, cool. That's probably, let's see. We've got Melissa here and Carissa. I'm not seeing a Pamela. Can you give me your email, please? Oh, Carolina. Okay. There we go. So Moon, you're Carolina, correct? Carolina Pamela. Okay, I see it now. Got it. Sorry, guys. So many different names. All right, so let me scroll back here because I need to get Shashovita. And then after Shashovita, We're going to have Stacy, Carolina, Morgan, Aralina, and we've also got Carissa and Melissa. Okay, let's show some love for our super chat people. So Shashavita, what opportunities will happen in my life by the end of 2023? That's a great question. Let's take a look. All right, so this is for you, Shashavita. What opportunities will happen by the end of 2023? In this order. Wow, look, there's that Knight of Wands again. There's some spice going on here, my dear. So we've got Ace of Cups, Knight of Wands, King of Wands. I have to be honest with you, it makes me wonder, like, what is amping up in your life right now? I mean, Ace of Cups is about new opportunities in relationships, romance, love, personal, emotional fulfillment. Cup runneth over. The Ace is about a new beginning. So if you're single, it can be indicating there's new love on the way, new relationship opportunities, and expansion of emotions. This can also be talking about if you're in an existing relationship, that there is some kind of growth or evolving sense of this relationship that can be going to the next level. Ace of Cups can also bring an emphasis during the water months. So obviously we've only got one more left now. That's going to be Scorpio season. So that's going to be right around the second half of October into November. That might be a time that you want to pay attention. And if you notice, like, the Ace of Cups is handing you something. So it's saying, like, here, this is a new opportunity emotionally. So I wonder if you're in a relationship or not. Then we've got the Knight of Wands coming up in the present position. So this is basically saying something rapidly approaching very quickly that can be very fun, very creative. And it can be about exciting opportunities. In particular, the Knight of Wands can be about taking chances, taking risks, traveling, going places, learning something new, having new experiences. And when the Knight of Cups comes up with the Ace of Cups, it can be talking about a situation that can be a brand new person that you're meeting that is starting off rather quickly. So it can be kind of like hot and heavy kind of quickly, or there can be like lots of excitement revolving around the relationship with this person. It can be a fire sign. So, you know, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius people may kind of pop up. And, you know, if I were just looking at like the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Wands, I'd be like, okay, there's going to be some romantic interest. You're going to have a connection. It looks like it could potentially be kind of fun and romantic, but it seems very like new and fresh and no strings attached. But then the final card that you have is the King of Wands. Now, some tarot readers would say that this could be two people. This could be two separate people that you're going back and forth with. It could be somebody who is a little bit younger and more kind of fly by the seat of their pants and a little bit more fun versus what could be a more mature, evolved other person. I kind of see this as like something that maybe takes you by surprise. Like, you know, you start a new hobby, you're not too sure if you're going to like it, and then you're like, whoa, I love this thing, I'm doing it all the time. It could be that you meet somebody on a whim and you don't really think anything of it, and you're like, yeah, we'll see where this goes. And then you realize, wow, this person's really growing on me, and I really like, you know, this connection that I have, and it's evolved very quickly, and I've really grown to really admire this person, and there's a lot of opportunity for adventure and creativity and fun. If this is about you focusing more on, you know, taking action, creativity, your personal desires, it looks like that you're really focusing your energy on the things that make your heart sing and stuff that brings you excitement and adventure, and making more time for that, and like letting your emotions be your guide, and telling you when you need to take a chance or when you need to have more fun. So by the end of this year, with the King of Wands coming up, it could be you that's potentially mastering your ability to really focus on listening to your gut, taking chances, you know, being more creative, maybe traveling to more places, and mastering the ability to do these things. I will say that it could be a love situation where it's a little double trouble. You're like, well, I like both things about these people. You know, I like this and that, and it's hard to make a decision. And ultimately, it may come down to the person who's going to be the most reliable, or the person who you feel like is the most mature, or the older of the two. If you're currently in a relationship, though, I wonder if this is going to be about you taking more action in this existing relationship and feeling like you're looking to find more ways to connect emotionally or intimately, and kind of spicing things up a little bit, and being like maybe a little competitive or like a little bit more adventurous when it comes to what you're doing for free time and recreation. Looks like a lot of fun, honestly. These are really positive cards. I just think that it's definitely about following your instincts, right? People don't realize that fire does what it does because fire signs are very instinctual. They're just not super emotional, but they listen to wherever like passion is kind of coming up in their lives. So I think that you're going to be focusing on a lot more of your passionate endeavors for the next couple months. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so let's take one more of the super chat and then we will pop over to Carolina. So we have got Carissa. What's up, Carissa? Carissa wants a free card reading. She says, is the person I've been feeling a deep connection to feeling the same? Not sure if I should pursue it because of work. Ooh, that's very Venus retrograde-y. All right, let's take a look. So Carissa's into somebody. Do they feel the same way? Because she's a little iffy about pursuing it because it sounds like they work together. In this order. Okay, so we've got the Judgment card, the Eight of Wands, and the Four of Coins, crossed with the Knight of Swords. Okay, interesting. That's the confirmation card. So here's the deal. You know, Judgment and the Eight of Wands makes me feel like you realize once you say something to this person, there's like no going back. It's like once you've said something, they know, and both of you guys are gonna be aware that there has been some exchanges of words or some things that you can't undo. It's pretty safe to say that there is definitely like a lot of, dare I say, like sexual tension. I know that sounds weird, but I'm looking at that Eight of Wands in the center position where it almost feels like there's this gravitational pull between the two of you guys that is just like undeniable, and you can't not acknowledge it. It's there. It's like a magnet. Judgment card is basically saying like you finally coming around to the realization that, you know, you need to kind of pick a lane, or you need to like say something before you feel like your window of opportunity may close. It also makes you feel like there could potentially be judgment that can come from this situation, whether you're feeling like this would come down the line from superiors at work, or that somebody may judge you because you potentially say something. I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, I feel like, you know, they very well could be feeling the same thing with this card coming up. But in the current position, the Eight of Wands is saying like it's going in the direction of like at least opening the door and being like, hey, are you interested in getting together? Doesn't mean you need to make a move, but at least opening the door and taking the necessary steps forward to see if they are willingly going to kind of open the door and respond. The Eight of Wands does talk about situations rapidly, you know, developing, quickly going in a different direction, things happening very fast. It can mean that this can be something that is really hard to kind of put out, that once you guys start something, it's not like you can kind of pump the brakes and be like, okay, let's just take a moment and take a step back. It's more like, okay, we're moving full steam ahead, and then you get the Four of Coins. So it makes me feel like it could be a situation where it's act first, think later. It's like you guys get into it, there can be some physical connection, and then it's just like, oh my God, we work together, Four of Coins. What was I thinking? I don't want to make things weird. And so I feel like because it is potentially going in that direction, be mindful of how you approach the situation. It doesn't have to go 0 to 60 in a physical sense. It can mean that you're like, I would like to hang out with you. Do you want to hang out with me? Are you interested? And then when you get your response, which I do feel like they're going to respond accordingly, it's about taking things slow and steady, right? It doesn't have to be all at once, because there can be some snapback if you end up having that. That 4 of coins makes me feel like if it's too much too quick, that person can get in their head and be like, but we work together and these are all the repercussions and this is how it could affect things. And then there could be like this clamming up effect that you can get on their part. Rather than letting that happen, proceed forward accordingly. Try to spend time together and see if you guys can engage in a way that doesn't necessarily have to be physical. See if they are willing to, take your bait by you opening the door and seeing if they're interested. I do feel like there is going to be a sense of them being like, wait a second, are they baiting me? Like, are they actually interested in me? Like, what's going on? Like, it does seem like they'll be interested in your proposal. 4 of coins can also be talking about holding on too tightly and not willing to let go or open up. Crossed with the Knight of Swords makes me feel like it could be somebody who's like, I'm cautious about opening up to this person, or I'm cautious about physically connecting with this person, and like wanting to kind of suss it out. So I think there is a way to put it out there where you can be like, let's get together, without making it seem like it has to be a romantic interest. It could just be in a sense of being like, let's just hang out, or let's go and grab dinner or grab a drink. And making them feel okay, because this can be about learning to kind of disarm them a little bit and being like, dude, chill out. There's no need to kind of like be weird. Like, if you want to go and grab something to eat or hang out, we can. And I do think that this person will respond to your request, Knight of Swords. So it's about somebody who's going to give you an answer very quickly and kind of let you know what the interest is. There's no cups coming up. So it's not a situation where I'm like, yeah, this is somebody who's very emotionally connected and like they're really fixated on a relationship. This is like you going like, okay, there's a connection here. I'm going to kind of finally make the decision, or maybe you might be feeling against your better judgment. Approach this person and see if they're going to be open. If you get a sense from them that they are closed off, like take that as a message that's just like, wait until they're ready. Not that they're not ready, but you need to wait until they're the ones who make the move. Put it out there, bait him a little bit, and see if that he wants to kind of, or they want to get to know you on a more personal level. And be very careful moving forward physically, because you can do it very quickly and then it can kind of snap back, and then he'll be like, oh my God, I didn't really think this through. Because there is a really strong connection, right? But this seems to be physical. I don't know how much you guys actually know about each other. There seems to be a lot of room here, because the element of water is missing, for there to be much more of an emotional connection. Right now, you just know that there's the physical connection and energetically it's there, but you really want to get to know them and see if they're actually going to open up to you, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna pop over here. I'll take Carolina and Stacy, and then we'll pop back over here and we'll take Melissa. So thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. I also want to put this out there. So we had a donation. David kindly donated. He said his intuition told him that somebody was going to need a reading this evening. He wanted to pay it forward for the person who may have the best case for really needing a reading. I know some of you guys are kind of facing some hard times. It's tough out there. So he was kind enough to donate a 3-card reading. So if you're really in need of a reading, please send your request in the chat box. You can let us know why you're really needing a reading and what that question may be, because we definitely want to help whoever is in need of a reading. So I'll let you guys do that. Thank you, David, for your generosity. And we'll take Carolina in the meantime. Carolina, Pamela, 1-card reading for Pamela. She's born on March 18th, 1990. So you are technically still a Pisces. Do you have a particular question, my dear? I know you said something up here earlier, so let me see if I can find you. Carolina. There we go. Carolina here. What's going to happen in my career? Early 4 degrees of Scorpio ascendant. Sun at Pisces. 28 Sag moon. I am facing a tower moment. All right. Well, let's see what's going on here, Pamela. I got to tell you something. Being a Scorpio rising, you know, you have, right, Venus that's been retrograde in your 10th house of career. So it's been about this back and forth with making a change, potentially at work, right? 10th house. And you've got Neptune that is in conjunction to your Pisces sun. So it's both a period of mystical, magical, dreamy, creative. In your 5th house, it may be about going through a lot of spiritual shifts in order to embrace perhaps your inner creative, your inner artist, doing some kind of spiritual healing, therapeutic work, perhaps for a living soon. But tower moments, yes, because we're about to see Venus and Uranus square off again. So let's take a look here, Carolina. Let's see what card you get for this tower moment. You get the High Priestess. And you guys ready for this? Boom, there's the Judgment card again as your confirmation. For me, the High Priestess is basically saying, look, if you see this thing coming, if you know intuitively in your hearts of hearts that you're like, this is the end of the road, yes, the answer is yes. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. What I love about the High Priestess card is, number one, there's no better indication of a High Priestess situation than Neptune in conjunction to your sun, okay? You may feel like you're spiraling and you're isolated and you're alone. These are the lower octaves of Neptune. The higher octaves of Neptune, and Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, is what sacrifice am I making and how am I able to make sacrifices which allow me to be brought into this brand new potential creative type of job. And what you look at as a crisis might actually be the best thing that could have ever happened to you, because you've also got Pluto in a sextile to your sun right now. And Pluto's in your 3rd house. So where you're writing, communicating, learning new technology, starting an online business, maybe doing some kind of training, learning about a new software. Maybe you're going to be doing something mystical, magical, right? That Pluto sextile is very strong. So Pluto's supporting your chart ruler, your sun right now. And over the next couple of years, you're also going to be seeing that Saturn's going to come into conjunction with your sun. So it's like the universe's way of saying, what are you going to create? What are you going to give life to? Okay, 5th house can be children, it can be love affairs, it can be taking chances on a lottery, it could also be starting your own business. So I kind of feel inclined to tell you that, like, the universe really does have your back. It's about the way that you look at it. And I think with like the High Priestess card coming up right now, what's so cool about this is that it does talk about being in the state of knowing. That's like, okay, these things are going to come, and I know this is a part of the process, and I've seen visions, and I've had dreams, and I've had readings, and I know these things are coming, and it's my job to just be open to receive. And she's not active. She represents the dark side of the moon, where she's receptive and she's intuitive. So people come to her for guidance. People come to her for her interpretations, for her, visions or what have you. She's not going out and seeking answers or asking questions. She's not active. She's inactive. She's receptive. So I think that's very much the case with the Neptune transit. It's about being able to tap into your higher self and go, okay, where am I going next? What's my purpose? Help me get there faster. I would be really meditating on that right now, because the High Priestess is not a definitive ending, right? It's just a sense of being like, you already know the answer. And it can be so agitating when you're asking the tarot a question, and then that's what the tarot says because it's sassy. I get that response all the time. Confirming that message with the Judgment card, which is saying, like, you may already know in your heart of hearts that this change is coming one way or another, and that it needs to happen, right? And I think you said you're a Sag moon. So, you got your moon in Sagittarius. That is somewhere, let's see, your, what did you say, your Scorpio rising? So it's somewhere in your first, maybe your second house, depending on the degrees. When you have your sun and your moon in a square, it means that there's something at odds about your emotions and also your actions, right? Sun and your desires. And so there's one side of you that's like, I want the freedom, I want the spiritual stuff, I want the travel, I want to be wild, Sag. And then there's the other side of you that's like, I want to be quiet and receptive and reflective. And so they're kind of at odds with each other. And if your moon's in the second house, you have fluctuations in terms of your resources and your values and that the impact that it potentially has on your creative stuff. Anyway, the point is, these are the transits that can be potentially really life-changing the next 2 years with Saturn and Neptune, which will ultimately land in conjunction with your sun, which I think could be the very birth of what could be a whole new vision when it comes to your career in general. I would be really developing my spiritual routines right now to make that possible, so that way you can feel more directed, connected when it comes to what you're supposed to be doing, and trust your intuition a little bit better, right? But yeah, this is the grand finale. You're getting ready to see Venus square Uranus again in this next month. So whatever back and forth that's been happening, now it's like really kind of finding its way out into the open in the month of September. Hopefully that's helpful through that time of transition for you. I definitely know that there are people coming in. I know we're going to be looking over them and seeing who we're going to give direction to. So don't worry, you guys send those in and we'll pick somebody who needs a reading. We've got Stacy, Morgan, and then we're going to have Melissa. Okay. I'll read these in just a second, guys. Okay, so for Stacy, she says, I started a job during Mercury retrograde after a horrific year. Suddenly lost my dad and job. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Will a new job be long-term? Seems amazing, but I'm a little nervous after this last year. Virgo rising, Cap Sun, and Moon and Stellium in Scorpio. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your loss, Stacy. That's a bummer. So let's take a look. So you just started your job right after the retrograde and you want to know, will this stick? Okay, so Virgo rising. So Mercury is going retrograde in your first house. It rules your 10th. So you're kind of like unsure about work. That makes sense. You've got your Capricorn sun, which should be in your whole sign 5th. And then you've got Moon and Scorpio stellium in the 3rd. So you are chatty. Okay, I'm mental. You're probably visual. So I had to think that one through. So let's take a look. It's normal to feel while your chart ruler is going retrograde that you're like not sure about career because it's in your first house of being topsy-turvy. It also rules your 10th house of career and it's in opposition to Neptune. So you're like, is this going to stick? Like, what's going to happen? If you've been out of work for a while and you go back to work during a retrograde, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be literally that you're returning back to work. I think that there could be a lot of room for miscommunications. That's the one thing that I would just kind of think about. But let's see what the cards say for you. And I would also look at like outer planet transits to your natal Mercury. That's also going to be very telling. Okay. That's your confirmation card. So we've got, in terms of like the job stuff, 7 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, 7 of Cups. Okay. So confirmation card is the Strength card. So the good news is like, to me, this seems like you can stay here as long as you want. It doesn't necessarily mean that something has to end, but I do get the impression with the 7 of Cups coming up that it could very well be a situation where you're doing this for a period of time and then you're asking yourself, do I want to stay here? You know, do I want to stay in this job? Is this the job that I'm enjoying doing? We will have to see. The 7 of Wands is talking about being able to keep up the pace, maintaining your position, being fit for the job. You're very capable of being able to do it. You can keep up with other people. You can hold your own. So I definitely feel like you are going to be fine. okay? There's not going to be any issues with you maintaining this position. And in fact, I think that also you're going to either come in, because you've just recently started, and like pick up pretty quickly. Like there's not going to be a lot of hand holding. So I feel like, yeah, you'll be fine, and people are going to see that you're very capable. Nine of Pentacles is a good card to come up when somebody's asking, is the job going to maintain? Am I going to keep it? Nine of Pentacles talks about slow and steady resources, things that are reliable, going through, and, you know, it might feel like a bit of a routine, that, you know, the job can feel a little monotonous, and that you just keep going through the same process, going to work, you know, throughout the week. This can also be messages revolving around money and resources that come in. So this can be saying like there's room for growth within the company that you're in, or you're going to be hearing that there could potentially be bonuses, or there could be reviews, or there could be raises. So in this case, I feel like right now you're in a solid place. There isn't really anything that's making you feel like you're going to kind of get knocked off of your position. However, the final card being the Seven of Cups is kind of telling me that the same way that you're feeling now, where you're like, I don't know, this is what I want to do forever, but this is okay for now, and like I just would be happy to have a job and something that's going to be consistent. There can be a sense of down the road, you know, 6, 7, 8 months from now, kind of asking yourself, is this it? You know, is there something else out there? You know, maybe I took the job because I was just hoping to get something that was going to stick and I needed to get back to work, but now I'm realizing maybe there's something else I would rather do. So the the Seven of Cups does talk about that sense of getting overwhelmed with too many options, right? And you're a mutable sign. And so here's how the rest of the year is going to go, right? December, you're going to see a retrograde in your 4th house, where you're going to be reevaluating where you're living or reconnecting with family, maybe traveling. The next year, you're going to see in like May, June, right around the time that, you know, Jupiter goes into Gemini, it's going to be in your 10th house. Great for career, right? But it's also going to be about balancing more work-life situations, and you're also going to be in a situation where if you're looking for another position, or if you're looking for another job, something else will show up, right? Jupiter in Gemini in the 10th means there's a new position that you will potentially be offered. However, Jupiter rules your 4th house, which means it would be about going back to an old career. Maybe you would go and take an old manager's position in an old job. Maybe you would have to relocate for work. So it comes at a cost. And we're going to have mutable squares next year. So while Jupiter's expanding your career, which is good, it's squaring your ascendant, which means, you know, you're having to be kind of put in the position of being, you know, the ringleader at work. It's also squaring Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house, which means that it's like all work, and you're going, well, how is this impacting my relationships? Am I working so much? Am I not tending to my partner? Am I working a lot and having to manage clients? Is my work life getting in the way of my dating life? So, you know, sweet and salty, right? But mutable signs, I think, deal with squares better than the other signs. So with that being said, right now you're fine, okay? You're going to be good there. There's a lot of room for growth. I do feel like that you will continue to do this into this next year, but you still may find yourself asking yourself, like, is this it for me, or is there something else that I should be doing? I personally have never met a Virgo rising that has one job. And a lot of that's because you have Gemini on your midheaven. So a lot of you guys have a full-time position, but you have a consulting side business, or a full-time position and you know, have an Etsy store or something else that you do. And I kind of think that it's very possible that you could be having a situation where during the Mercury retrograde that's going to take place in, you know, end of November going into December, you might be reevaluating, like, what are creative ways that I can make money on the side, or where am I investing my money? So I feel like my money is potentially going further. So this can be talking about you starting to look at the resources you're bringing in and questioning what you can do with it, right? But I don't think this is like the end all be all, but to some extent, every Virgo rising I've ever met has always been like, well, I could do this or I could do that. So there's always about leaving that room for potential open. And if you're good where you're at for the next 6, 7 months, just wait till you get into the spring of next year, and you're going to see that you're going to have another opportunity to do something else, either from home, a family business, maybe it involves real estate, or it could be something where it's something that's requiring you to potentially relocate. So if you work at a job or a company that's like, hey, we've got a position open, but it's like across the country, you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But it would definitely come in a lot of like tweaks and changes, you know? I hope that's helpful for you. Good luck with that, Stacy. At least you have some exciting things on the horizon. So let's take now Melissa. Melissa. All right, Melissa says, hi, thank you so much. Would love to know about a man and I, if he will return and work it out or move on. Thanks. All right, let's take a look, Melissa. So you're gonna return and work it out, or are you guys gonna move on? You're welcome, Stacy. Let's take a look. Just looking at this for you, Carissa. I did your reading. You must have missed it. You'll be able to watch it after the playback, or you can go back, but I did your reading. All right, so let's see for Melissa. Are they gonna work it out or move on? Sorry about the the sound effects, but each card was like a sucker punch. All right, so we've got 9 of Wands, 8 of Swords, and the Tower card. So these are some of the more challenging cards in the deck, my dear. That's the truth. We've got the 9 of Wands, which is about feeling like I'm at the end of my rope. I'm sick of struggling or doing it all myself, or I'm the one who's kind of getting emotionally beat up in the process. You see a guy standing and he's got all these wands around him and he's just barely standing up after like really pushing through what's been a really challenging task, and he's like assessing the situation. So this can mean that you're like assessing like the fallout or like the damage that's happened after a blow up in a relationship, and like questioning whether or not it can be fixed or if it can be salvaged, especially if you or the other person feels like they've really been hurt or done wrong. When this card comes up in the past position, it's saying like we've been able to overcome things in the past. Like we've been able to overcome some of these challenges, but maybe you're feeling like you're getting to a point where it's happening too much, or there's been too much that's gone on, or there's too much of a history or a pattern of these things, and questioning whether or not you have the strength or the wherewithal to be the person to kind of keep this thing moving. The current position that we have right now for you is the 8 of Swords, which represents feeling like you're stuck, your hands are tied, not being able to see clearly. Obviously, she's got the, the blindfold on. This is a purely mental card though. So when this card comes up, it's basically saying you feel like you're stuck, you don't know how to get out of a situation, or you don't know how to talk about something or move through it, but it's all mental, okay? So the swords can represent kind of like that negative chit chat or chatter, feeling like you're just going round and round, focusing on the wrong things, or like allowing doubt to kind of creep in, or, the conversations that you have had to limit you. It may feel like you're in a situation where you've done all you can with these two together, where you're like, I've really tried to make things work and it's not working. And every time I do, I'm the one who kind of gets left holding the bag emotionally, or I'm the one who gets hurt. And this card is a minor arcana, so it can be undone, right? So there can be a sense of going like, I'm breaking out of these patterns and feeling like it's not them who is leaving me, or it's not them who's not talking to me. It's not them who aren't choosing me. It's me realizing this is not working. The way that the relationship has kind of gone down in the past, you're not willing to take it into the future. Like there has to be a complete reworking of the relationship from the ground up in order for there to be a new beginning. The challenge here is that the final card that you get is the Tower card. And the Tower card is the card that's about basically the tower being knocked over. Things have been said, stuff has happened. There could be some like revelation that's happened in terms of the dynamic, realizing that things cannot continue the way that they have been. It's not going to be sustainable for the long term. It's not going to be solid because something within the foundation of the relationship has kind of broken down.
So when the tower falls, you have two options. You can move on or you can rebuild it. And generally this is like the oh shit card. So it's really about you asking yourself, can you deal with staying in this relationship after some of these revelations have happened? Do you like feeling like maybe you have no options, or that it's up to you to make the decisions about whether or not you're going to just deal with the dynamic the way that it is, or leave? Because to me, it seems like your hands are tied. You're not being given many options. Confirmation card that I got for you is the Queen of Wands. So this can be talking about you personally, especially if you're a fire sign, so Aries, Leo, Sag, or that you're channeling the Queen of Wands and you're like, you know what? It's about me going, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to take action, right? Fire, and make decisions about what's best for me. And I'm the one who's looking at it differently. I think a lot of this is about how you're looking at it, because if you've been feeling like you've been stuck, or, you know, going through a breakup, or feeling kind of hopeless, or wondering whether or not the situation is going to improve, and feeling like you're at the mercy of someone else, something is now changing. And you're starting to look at this in a sense where you're like, no, this is about me realizing this isn't working for me. So can there be a dynamic that's coming up for you where you're feeling a little bit more adamant, or where you're feeling a little bit more restless, or you're not really taking, you know, any shit from anybody? Probably. But I think it kind of has to be that way, because you're really focusing on clearing out anything that has not been working in the past. For me, a lot of the cards are saying you are moving on. It's not that another person is saying, I'm not interested, you know, see you later, and you get angry. This seems to be like, so much stuff has gone on that you're looking at the situation going, it's time for me to now move forward, right? Let me know how you're feeling with this, what's been happening, because it looks like some stuff has come up that's going to be really hard to just completely accept and stay in the relationship the way that it is. Change has to happen, and it looks like it's a big one. Hopefully that's helpful for you. That looks like that was all of my, is that all of my people here? Yeah, on my super chat. Okay, cool. I know some of you guys are asking, don't worry. So the next person I have is Morgan, and then Aralina. You guys are next. And it looks like we voted for Bailey. So I will go and read your comment. I apologize. I'm multitasking, but I'm going to come and see who we selected. Good luck, Melissa. Okay, so let me just catch up here. So we've got Morgan. I thought I just donated the first payment to the wrong person, so I sent the second one. Okay, don't worry, I can send the second one back. So you just want a 3-card reading? Dude, I'm not tech savvy. You are fine. I will send one of them back so you get a 3-card reading. Don't worry. All right, so let's do Morgan, and then let's look at Aralina. We're also going to read for Bailey. Bailey, just hold tight. We're going to get you in just a second. Okay, so Morgan put tarot card reading. I will refund one of them for you. Am I next? I don't want to hold anyone up thinking I'm writing out the best question. So you go ahead and send your question, Morgan. I'm going to refund this other one for you really quick so we get you the right amount. And then we will be square. How the rest of the year are going. Okay, cool. We can do that. We can definitely do that. So I just issued the refund for one of them. So you should get that. So we're good. That was a really good question. Whenever I get a question, I always just say, what do I need to know? No, you're gonna get the 3-card reading. I just wanted to return one of them to you. Don't worry. All right, let's get on with this thing. So let's see, what does Morgan need to know for the rest of the year? PayPal. It seems like Mercury is in full effect, you guys. It's in my 12th house, so I feel like a crazy person. So I apologize. So far so good. We got another
2 weeks here. Okay.
All right, so let's see, what does Morgan need to know? What should be happening for the better part of the rest of the year? Here we go. Wow, what productive cards you have. This is my card of the day today. So we've got 7 of coins, the Emperor, and the 2 of wands. So here's the deal, okay? 7 of coins is telling me that right now there's a lot of like assessing where you're planting your seeds, right? So this card can quite literally be about, where am I spending my time? Where do I want to be in 6 or 7 months? How can I be more productive? How can I bring in, more money, better resources, better health? And like, how can I make my garden grow? I want you to think of this as seeds, because literally this is somebody tending to their garden. So how much they tend to their garden, how much work you're willing to put into things, how much you're focusing on productivity, it's only going to benefit you. I want you to be thinking about, this is really true, it's in line with the astrology. Focus not on what's going on right now. Focus on where you want to be in 6 months from now. Because I think a lot of us get overwhelmed with like all the little details, and then we're just like, how can I make this big thing happen? But the key here with this retrograde is breaking down all of the details, and maybe creating a series of like monthly goals before you get to your end all goal in about 6 months time. So when I see this card come up, sometimes it's about kind of going like, well, I'm feeling kind of anxious. If I make this change, or if I make this investment, or if I make this sacrifice, is it going to pay off? And it's saying, yeah, but you have to be willing to do the work. Then we have the Emperor coming up, which is a major arcana card. So this is basically saying, it's about taking action. It's about being a boss. It's about owning something and being like, I did that. I created that. I made the change. I initiated that. I launched that thing. It's a very masculine energy. This energy also deals with Mars. It may be important for you to really be paying attention to Mars transits. It may be really important to you to be paying attention to the full moon that's coming in Aries. That's actually going to be the next full moon that we're going to have. I don't know what your sun, moon, or rising is, but I definitely feel like I would take a look at where Aries is in the chart right now, because the North Node is there, and a lot of this is about being courageous. It's about being willing to take risks and like go out in your own way. And so the Emperor is a very commanding card. It can be about bosses. It can be about your career. It can be about father figures. But I think for you, it's about you kind of reevaluating, like, what changes do I potentially have to make on a professional level, or what changes am I making when it comes to being more assertive and like holding myself accountable. Accountability might be a big theme in your life right now. And so maybe you're focusing on that and you're saying, hey, I'm going to dedicate myself more in this area of my life for the next 6 months, and I'm going to see what may actually grow. I'm reading your comments now. I'm going to be the artist. I believe I am inside. The question is, will I ever stop procrastinating? Will I ever begin and stop being afraid of failure? Sun and Pisces, Moon, Gemini, Taurus rising. Yeah. So here's the other thing, right? Being a Taurus rising, the Venus retrograde for you has been so much about like taking care of your emotions and your home and your private life. I feel like you're going to see, definitely with Saturn crossing your sun in the next year or two, it's about being a part of a group or a collective, right? 11th house. And then also you're going to be seeing that you're going to be having Pluto go back into Aquarius in the new year. So like changes on the horizon with your career. In many ways, this makes sense because the Emperor can be about, becoming a boss or becoming the person who like makes the changes that you need to kind of initiate yourself into this brand new energy. The Two of Wands does talk about being open to making choices and like reevaluating what direction you're going in and welcoming change. If you're an 11th house sun, you need the support of other people. And I think right now it can be kind of challenging because, eclipses in your 12th house and the North Node is about a lot of questioning. Does the universe have your back? And it is really important for you to establish time to reevaluate and to meditate, and also be open to developing more of a spiritual routine. because Aries is like where we feel the most in control, and the 12th house is generally like spiritually. So the way that you're going to feel the most in control and the most secure is when you're taking time to pray, when you're taking time to meditate, if you're going to temple, if you're going to, yoga class, if you're going to church, if you're going to sacred places or private places where you can be focusing on your goals. That's going to help build the spiritual strength and the vision. And then connecting with groups of people is how you're going to be able to kind of like see that fully kind of come together. You're going to realize over the next 2 years that like networking is a really important part of the puzzle when it comes to making the changes that you need to in your professional life. I think the key here is being open and being open to the fact that your job may change, your direction may change, your purpose might change, that anything is possible. And I think that Two of Wands is basically saying like, okay, I'm open to what these options are. Like, let's see what they are, and then I'll reevaluate what direction I'm going in. Really, I think the key here is about being able to initiate things and making it possible for those other potential, paths to start showing themselves. And so first things first, being dedicated to a routine, I think, is the key with the Seven of Coins and the Emperor card. Being consistent every day. So showing up every day and creating a little bit of time for manifestation, meditation, working a little bit on your craft, really dedicating some time or some resources to that, and accountability, holding yourself accountable. Stick with it for 6 months, because what you'll find is you're getting into next year and we're starting to see eclipses and like full moons and other transits that are going to be taking place in your 10th house. Especially like when the Sun, Mars, and Venus go through Aquarius, that's going to be a huge turning point where you might be working with a new group of people come like January, February, March of 2024, right around 6 months from now. So keep focusing on that as your goal, and definitely be consistent with the routine. I think that's going to help you see your way through this. Dark night of the soul is very 12th house. So my recommendation is develop a spiritual routine that you can do by yourself. That can be focusing on Mars related things like shamanic work or drums or anything that's going to be about kind of working with like that inner spiritual warrior. Hopefully that's helpful for you. And we've got Aralina. So Aralina says, what can I focus on as I continue to heal from a depressive episode? Being a new job, a co-parent, my daughter to bring health and joy into all the work. Good luck, Morgan. All right, so what can Aralina focus on as she continues to heal from some depression? So let's take a look here. This is for you, Aralina. Okay, so it was in this order. Wow, I really love this for you because I feel like, oh man, raise your hand if you feel like you've been personally victimized by Saturn and Pisces, because I'm definitely feeling it. Here, Saturn is a depressant. Like, that's what Saturn does. It represents boundaries and limitations and feeling a little bit low, right? And so Saturn going through Neptune, a Neptune-based sign, Pisces, definitely collectively, we're going to be dealing with this year for the next 2 years or so. And really it's going to be about, what do we do with that alone time? What do the valleys teach us, right? Because it can't always be peaks. So we have these valleys to help us kind of reflect and figure out that there's only one way to go up, and that's up from here. I think that the Hermit card is really interesting in the current position, because it is talking a lot about how right now you're looking at this state and kind of reflecting and like going through a process of having to find yourself again. So maybe a lot of this is like you doing the work right now, 8 of Coins, and saying to yourself, I'm dedicated to feeling better. I'm dedicated to being consistent. I'm dedicated to making some headway when it comes to my emotions, but this is physically. you may feel inclined to throw yourself into work, especially with the 8 of Coins coming up. So there can be a sense of being like, I'll go to work, I'll be productive, everything will be fine. And like, that's great because I do feel like you can get a lot of work done, but it's also about not neglecting the emotional side of things, the social side of things that can also help better balance this out a little bit. 8 of Coins is about really honing in on your craft and getting really good at something. So I'm wondering, it's great that, you have a job that's trying to come in. I'm not sure what your question says. Is being in a new job. So did you start one or are you looking for one? Because if you're looking for one, this is great energy to find one. If you're in one, it's saying that you're going to perform very well and it's going to be something that's going to bring you a lot of like fulfillment and you're going to be very productive. But this is in the past position. So maybe in the past you threw yourself into work and you felt like working would bring you some sense of purpose and that it could be helpful. And I do think there's lots of good energy for that. But the solution or the remedy right now to kind of coming out of this Hermit card situation is about being around other people, which, I mean, obviously when you're feeling kind of blue, right, that doesn't always help. Sometimes we just want to kind of sit in it. But the Hermit card coming up with the 3 of Cups is saying like you're going to come out of this period of feeling like you're, feeling a little isolated or feeling a little lonely. You're going to be reflecting on how much you do have. A lot of this, I think, is gratitude because if you notice, we've got the Hermit card shining a light on the 8 of Coins. So it might be shining a light on the fact that's like, I have a new job, I have resources, I have my health, I have security. And like practicing gratitude can be a huge shift for you when it comes to your emotions because so quickly we can get so caught up in all the things that we don't have. But there is somebody out there who's probably praying for the things that you have, right? And so for me, that's something that always puts things in perspective for me. Like when I find myself like complaining or kind of getting into like a bit of like a rut, I'm like, okay, I have to remind myself, how lucky I am because somebody else would kill to be in this position. And I try to remind myself of that on a regular basis and to practice gratitude. Saturn in Pisces teaches us a lot about what sacrifices we make and the willingness to sacrifice and what we learn from that, right? And maybe it's me, I'm very Saturnian. I look at some of the Saturn transits I've had and look back and go, man, while I was in it, that was the worst. But then when I get to the end of the transit, I look back and I go, well, these are all of the things that Saturn did for me. And I kind of like bitched and complained the whole time. And now I've got something that's like very, very solid and very, I think valuable at the end of some of those transits. I had Saturn hit I have 4 planets in Scorpio, 4 planets in Capricorn. So when I had Saturn go through those transits, it was horrible. But on the other end of it was very fulfilling. So I'm wondering, do you have something in Pisces? Do you have personal planets in Pisces? Are you having some Saturn squares? Something's going on there. And like, very can feel like dark night of the soul, right? The Hermit card is reflecting on how did I get to this point? And why am I here? And what led to me, being unhappy? And where did I lose myself? And how can I reconnect and find those things again, right? And then the 3 of Cups is like celebrating and being with other people. So when you're done reflecting and figuring out what are the little things that you kind of lost track of and like what has possibly brought you to a point where you're feeling like you've lost yourself, go and be with other people, 3 of Cups. Go and socialize, even though you don't feel like it. Go and spend time around other people. Go and try to make friends. Go and let people know that you're having a difficult time. Make more of an effort to be around others because I definitely feel like this is something that will bring you more joy and more fulfillment. Celebrations, parties, birthday parties, celebrating things and not allowing your mood to kind of hold you back from going and actually actively participating in life with other people. That is what's really going to help you kind of come back around, okay? I hope that that's helpful for you. And this is great because the transition of this seems like you're really learning to heal some of these down moods, not with physical things, but experiences with relationships and people, rather than filling a void with physical things, which can be work, money, food, resources. You're learning to kind of really look at your emotions as, hey, it's trying to tell me something. I'm going to tend to that rather than feel like I'm just going to slap something on it physically and make it go away. Right? So you're actually learning how to work with your emotions, which tells me that you're really learning a lot more about yourself throughout this process. I hope that that's helpful for you. Sending you lots of good vibes. And I hope you're feeling better. What's up, Julie? We're going to be doing astrology readings next Friday. So it'll be next week that you can catch us here. Okay, so David made a donation and wanted this to go to somebody who is in need. And it looks like we've got Bailey. So Bailey says, I'm a single mom struggling at the moment. I'm professionally at a crossroads seeking growth at the cost of financial sacrifice. I feel lost in every aspect of my life and I just need direction. All right, Bailey, I got you. You're welcome, EJ. So let's take a look. Let's see what we can help Bailey out with. Sounds like she's a single mom. She's at a crossroads about making a change in her professional life, but it sounds like it's going to come at a cost. So what do the cards have to say about maybe taking this new direction? Is it a good idea? What does the future look like for her? All right, Bailey, this is for you. In this order. Bailey, my dear, these are good cards. Here's a question I have for you. Are you having to go back and do some kind of training? Are you having to invest in a program or a certification? What's the catch here, if you don't mind me asking? Okay, so we've got 3 of Coins, Page of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. All right, so that's the Major Arcana card. This is crossed with the 9 of Coins. I kind of see this as like big risk, big reward. You know, the sacrifice and the payoff. 3 of Coins is basically talking about focusing on productivity. Okay, so this can be good in a sense of being like, there's definitely work available for you. This can be work now. Maybe this means that you've had a tendency of like working jobs where you're like, I'm working a job, but it doesn't feel like an actual career. 3 of Coins talks about working with a team of people and kind of just the day in, day out in the grind. So yeah, you may have a career or a job now, and it's definitely something that's reliable. But to me, that Page of Pentacles coming up in the center position is really saying that there's a new opportunity that's presenting itself for you to grow financially. Pages are like little students, so they learn something new. So Page of Coins can be basically about being in a situation where you're like, okay, I'm willing to invest the money to go and get some kind of training, or I'm going to be, you know, working side by side with somebody who's going to be mentoring me. But it's the beginning process of something. It represents the very first steps in going in this direction, which could eventually lead to you becoming a king or a queen, where you're mastering something professionally, coins, or your finances. So this is about taking a chance, stepping into a direction where it may not be as familiar, or it is something that is a little bit immature still. Final card that you get is the Hierophant. So this is about professional. This is about long-term, finding your place in society, having something very reputable, being in a situation where you're going to have more authority or more control or direction in the future. It also talks about like long-term commitments, because this is a card that deals with Taurus. Oh, I'm seeing your comment now. Assistant manager gets paid less and a direct opportunity is an hour away. Okay. So for me, you know, it can also be about the sacrifices that you potentially make, right? So you've got, you know, Page of Pentacles, which is like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to try this out and see how it goes. Is this something that, you know, I potentially could do and give it a shot? And like, is it going to be worth my time? And is it going to lead to a higher position? So I'm assuming you've basically got something where, you know, you could take a job that's closer where you're assisting and it's going to be less, or you have a better paid position, which could be further away, right? The key for me, the takeaway is the willingness to break out of something that seems more monotonous and routine, which is probably what you've been doing, to take a chance, Page of Pentacles, to potentially see that you're moving into a position that could be more growth. The Hierophant is saying that it could lead to something that could be even more so permanent or long-term, especially come about the spring of next year. And then the confirmation card that you get is the 9 of Coins, which is about like, you know, having a lot of financial freedom, having more of a say in what you do with your money, you know, how you're investing your money, having more security, but also comfort. Nine of Coins is like, I can have a little bit more of like a comfortable lifestyle. I think it's worth taking the risk for something that looks like it could pay off and be more abundant in the long term. Yeah, you may not really start to see that until spring of next year. That's the truth. And while it may seem like a bit of a hassle, you know, I wonder if the Page of Pentacles and the Hierophant is going to be a back and forth where you're going to have the opportunity to talk to people who are superiors and say, you know, is there potentially room for working, you know, a bit of a hybrid schedule? Or is there another position that is like this that I can transfer to in another place? It wouldn't present itself until next year. But the benefits here, to me, seem to kind of outweigh basically the risks. Eventually, this will be something that pays off. If you're taking something that feels like it's a little bit more of a chance, I would definitely take it. Because long term, it looks like you're going to find yourself making more money and having a little bit more financial security and having more of a say also when it comes to your career come the spring of 2024. So I would definitely consider it. That's just me. I would consider it. So whichever one you think the risk is, I guess is what I'm getting at, because I'm not really sure reading your question. Assistant manager gets paid less, and a direct opportunity is an hour away. So if you're wanting to move up in management, okay, whichever one the risk is, Page of Pentacles, that's new, that's the one that's going to end up paying off, but it'll be next year, right? And I like that. Nine of Coins is like, I can do what I want with my money. I have more of a say in my finances. I'm feeling like a little less financially stressed. Like, it will be something that will end up, yeah, it'll end up paying off down the road. Sending you lots of good abundance and job placement vibes. And anybody else who needs it as well. The risk will pay off. The risk won't pay off really until next spring, but you'll definitely see that. And for all we know, I mean, man, the state of the world where things are going, a lot of people are going to be doing some kind of work remotely. I'm not saying rely on that, but you guys will see what I'm talking about over the next couple months. There's going to be a lot of changes to work schedules, a lot. That's part of what's coming up with the Mercury retrograde. It looks like I got everybody, so big thank you to everybody who was hanging out here with me on a Friday night. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for your likes, your comments, your shares. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up now that we're at the end of the stream. I appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. I'll be back here on Sunday. We're going to be doing astro weather. We're going to talk all about September, what's kind of coming, some of my takeaways from the big transits that are going to be taking place over this next week. Make sure you subscribe so you're alerted as to when we have videos coming out on the channel. We'll be here Tuesday and Thursday throughout the week, breaking things down as well. If you guys haven't already seen my horoscopes, please check them out. They are live for the month of September. And don't forget to head over to my website and check out the webinar that I'm doing on the eclipses in September. That's all for me. Enjoy your guys' weekend, and I will see you guys back here next week for live astrology. Take care.